It's 5:30 and I'll call us to order. Before we get started, let me read the evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm may sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you've reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles. With that out of the way, you have the minutes. Were in your packets from the meeting of March 22nd. Any corrections or additions? Not. Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. You were handed a plat. We have an addition to the agenda for the Ashley property. It's a minor plat. Do I have a motion to add that to the agenda under preliminary and final plats?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll handle that under item 7D. We've got 4 public hearings tonight on rezonings. I'll open each one of them and ask for input from staff, and then we'll close the public input and the commission will discuss and act on each one individually. Public hearing and possible action to amend the zoning map from R1 to C commercial at 3720 East Lamar Alexander Parkway, Maryville. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to that request for rezoning? If not, I will turn it over to our fearless leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On all these rezonings, I'll just give a brief outline on them.
Okay.
This one is 3720 East Lamar Alexander. It's 1 tract of land, 17.74 acres, currently zoned R1. It is undeveloped. It does have commercial. It actually touches the right of way, which is zoned commercial. Across the highway is commercial. It does have, like I mentioned, has frontage on East Lamar Alexander. Once it's developed, it will be access to it. Have any questions?
Okay. Any members of the board have any questions or comments on the rezoning request? This property is directly across the road from Heritage High School and Heritage Middle School. If you look at the aerial in the attachment, you can see those buildings across the street. Any comments or discussion? As a rezoning request, this would be sent on to the county commission for additional public hearings and their approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. If there's no further input, all those in favor signify where the motion would be to send on to the county commission with a recommendation for approval. With that said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next is a public hearing and possible action to amend the zoning map from R1 to suburbanizing for 4 tracts of land totaling 48.2 acres located at and near 1355 Pollard Valley Road. Anybody in the audience wish to speak to the request that is in front of us? Step to the front and state your name and give us your comments. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. I'm Josh Sanderson, representing Smith-Built Homes. The property before you joins another piece of property on Best Road that we have laid out a development for, approximately 400 houses to go into, and this would be connected to it. So we respectfully tonight ask the commission to zone this property suburbanizing so we can extend our subdivision on this property.
Okay. Thank you. I see another hand in the audience.
The property in question was originally...
Give us your name.
I'm sorry, my name is Kenton Hancock. And my residence is 1326 Pollard Valley Drive.
Thank you.
The property in question was originally part of the Pollard Valley Estate. It was the part on the southern side of the creek. And the lots there were large, some as much as 13 acres. The entire development was all intended to be fairly large, single dwelling units. The largest on the north side was about 7 acres. The smallest were 2 1/2 acres that bordered on Carpenter's Grade Road. There are several concerns that we have. One, if you look at the plat, the copy of which was sent out from the courthouse to us, you would get the impression that Pollard Valley Road is a through street down to where this property is. It is not. From the cul-de-sac on, that road is a private access road for the 3 lots that border on it. The deeds for those lots specify that the owners of those 3 lots are responsible for the maintenance of that road. It has been, the original property was extended by one of those lots, one of the larger lots, by buying the 100 feet of right-of-way that the railroad had that ran along the creek. So that lot now extends beyond the creek. If you look at the plat, it's not clear where the creek runs. It doesn't show too well on the copy that we have. But basically, I think our concern is not only for that, one, but the entire development seems to be very irresponsible. Putting more than 400 new units into that property plus the one next to it is going to put a real burden on the schools down there and on the utility systems. I don't know what they're going to do for sewage, and they're going to really clobber Best Road because the only access out of there without coming through our property, which would entail taking that property, that private property. There's only 3 access or egress. And that's for not only those 400 and some units or lots, but the others that have already been put in there that are duplex. The original word we had when the developer bought that section of the Pollard Valley Estates was that his intent was to put in townhouses. We have been unable to get a definitive answer as to how many units they're planning to put on those lots. but we feel it's a very irresponsible expansion.
Okay, thank you for your input.
Thank you for allowing us to comment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gregory Hancock. I'm the son of Kenton Hancock of 1326 Pollard Valley Drive. I'd like to add just, I know you guys are busy, I don't want to take up much time, but I'd like to add a little professional insight into this. From 1985 to 1990, I worked as a site planner for one of the largest firms in Montgomery County, Maryland, just outside Washington, D.C., Cohen, Holtz, and Kirkston, CHK. They were responsible for the development of the majority of Montgomery County, Fairfax County, Arlington, back in the 80s and early 90s when the suburbs of Washington, D.C. exploded. And I drew and designed many plats, site plans, and master plans very similar to this one. And while I believe in growth, everybody wants to see their community grow and prosper in many ways. I have to give my opinion that I find that this is not responsible and measured growth. Now, while that area down there currently is zoned as residential, I don't know if any of you have actually driven out there, excuse me, and seen that area. It's very rural, as much as residential, if not more so. I'd say these 400 and some units added into STET 100 and some total acres will probably quadruple or more the population of at least a 5 to 8 square mile area down there. Now, how many people have lived here for more than 5 years? More than 10 years? More than 15 years? When my father bought his lot, and my mother, more than 17 years ago, they moved from that Washington, D.C. area for a better life. They researched many places where they wanted to build their retirement house and live the rest of their years. And Maryville was high up on the list as being such a wonderful place to live, move to, retire, and also move to and raise a family. And since I have been here for more than 10 years, I found that to be true. How many people realize and notice how much the traffic, just the traffic in Maryville, has increased in the last 10 to 15 years? I mean, I used to joke with people that 5 cars at a traffic light was a traffic jam down here. Now you try and make a left-hand turn off of any business onto Broadway between 4 and 6 now, and it's next to impossible. Now I realize that's something that happens with growth in a community, in a prosperous community. But you get outside there, out into the county where these people are living and trying to spend the rest of their lives in quality, and some people are trying to move to and raise a family in a quality area. Those roads are small. 400 and some units. How many households have more than 1 car nowadays? You're averaging, you're probably putting another 600 to 800 cars on Carpenter's Grade Road, Best Road, Sandy Springs Road. My suggestion would be to maybe not necessarily allow this for many reasons, but mostly because I believe in measured, responsible growth, and I don't believe that this is an example of that. I believe that what the county will lose in terms of quality of life for its residents far outweighs what it'll gain from tax revenue. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Not, public input is closed. Director?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to reemphasize there that this is only for rezoning the property. The plat has already been approved by the city of Maryville. This is in their planning region. This is a planning region project. This is purely for rezoning of those tracts of land that are listed in the report. They are bounded on 2 sides already by suburbanizing districts. It's my understanding that the line for the suburbanized district was drawn following where utilities were or not. So at that time, sewer wasn't available within the years it has been. So, that's in place, and it's for 4 tracks that take them from R1 to suburban high schools.
Okay, you've heard the input, yes, you've heard the public input, comments, questions, discussion from the commission.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, one other thing I needed to mention, again, because this is a planning commission project, the Maryville City's planning commission will also need to make similar recommendations years before this is forwarded.
Okay. Thank you. Clifford?
Mr. Superintendent, Road Superintendent, what's your opinion of the road situation out there and the future for the road situation in that area to handle this type of project?
Commissioner Walker, we have sent our crews, our county engineer out several times to evaluate what this would do to the road. I can tell you for the most part, it does meet our regs and standards. There's a few areas that are just shy of 18 feet. Most of the drainage and the cross drains are in place and in pretty good shape. There is future work to be done in that area as part of the TPO plan that will help Carpenter grade some turn lanes that would get some of the traffic off of Carpenter's grade and enough storage in a turn lane to get them out of the road. So there's been some extensive work gone into this before just allowing to dump all kinds of unwanted vehicles out on the road. And Maryville obviously played a big part in that process as well.
Thank you, Superintendent. Commissioner Carter?
This one, Superintendent, in your professional opinion, do you think that eventually they have to do private property to maintain the roads out there?
Can you say that one more time?
Would they have to, eventually, would they have to go through their property?
And take some of their property?
Right.
No.
Bruce?
I'll address my question to Jeff first. Our regulations say 18 foot of paved width with 2 foot of shoulders on each side. You do have 18 foot of width, but you don't have any shoulders on Best Road. And I actually live on Best Road, so I'm concerned about this too, but you don't have any immediate plans to do any kind of widening, or the developer sharing any cost of doing any of the widening on Best?
Yes, there will be some help by the developer. You know, the shoulder does, we need to pick that up. This opportunity to bring a road up to even better standard as far as our county specs, address some drainage issues when that's being done. But they have agreed that several things have to be in place before they get a CO as they phase through the project. It's not like every lot is going to be built at one time and dumped onto Best Road. It'll be phased systematically with a very good plan that they've got set forth. But you are correct, the 2 foot shoulders have to be addressed, and this opportunity to pick that up.
Thank you, Superintendent.
And my other questions are to the developer. In the paper ad, it said the 77 acres for 436 houses, but that didn't include this 48 acres, the 436 houses, is that correct? So if we add 48 more acres, that's tentatively 250 more houses, correct?
No, sir, the house count's not going to change. The 470 houses is across the whole 132 acres.
Okay, well, I'll just clarify that because the newspaper says 77 acres for four.
They have a few things wrong on that.
Okay. And one other question, the private road on this particular plat, is it intended to make that a public road? Two-best road, if it's ever built?
Are you referring to Pollard Valley?
Yes.
Pollard Valley Road will go completely away and be replaced with county spec roads developed and paid for by us.
So the 1,000-foot right-of-way that goes into these 5 lots will be turned into a public road?
And we'll completely wipe it out, so it won't exist anymore because we'll own all the parcels that Pollard Valley easement or private road serves, so we won't need it anymore.
So you won't build that road at all?
We won't build it. We'll wipe it out, bulldoze it, and completely overlay it with homes and new streets.
Okay. I think that's all my questions.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for approval to rezone to suburban housing.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? I need a second before we can vote on it.
I was second, but I have to vote against it. So second.
We'll take that as a second. All right, are there any further comments or questions?
One clarify, any vote, we just send it to the county commission.
It actually has to go back, it goes to Maryville. Maryville has to approve it, and then it goes to the county commission. There will be a subsequent hearing on it, and then the county commission has to act on it.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, also keep in mind that even if this board were to recommend that the county commission deny the request, the county commission can override that with I'm maybe getting this wrong, I think it's a 2/3 vote, something of that nature. So you're all, I mean, you can make a recommendation to approve, you can make a recommendation to approve.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll do a voice roll call vote. Marlene?
Brad Bowers.
Yes.
Sean Carter.
No.
Roy Gamble.
Yes.
Tom Hodge.
Yes.
Bruce McClellan.
No.
Darrell Tipton.
Abstain.
Clifford Walker.
Yes.
Ed Stuckey.
Yes.
Yes, 2 no, 1 abstain.
Motion carries 5-2 with an abstention. Moving on to item C, public hearing and possible action to amend the zoning map from suburbanizing to industrial for 2 tracts of land totaling 4.6 acres located at 1919 Air Base Road, Louisville. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to that item? There being none, public input on item C is closed. Director.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. You all, I'm sure, are familiar with this. It is 2 tracts of land, about 4.6 acres. This was the site that we retired. The structure on the site has been there since early 80s and then again in the 90s. It's my understanding, at least, that it's possible that maybe this should have been industrial, since that's what was in place at the time. Either way, had the airport under this property, this is basically the airport. If the airport owned it, it would have been put in the airport district, for sure, which would have taken it out of our control entirely. So, having said that, we did send this to the airport authority for preliminary review, and they expressed no concern with it. They own all the property around it, and they actually said that they have no problem as long as it stays in their development zone. This property is actually in their long-range master plan, and so they have no specific concerns other than maintaining that control over it. Like the last one, this one falls under Alcoa's planning region, so this one will need to be sent to Alcoa for recommendation, just as the last one was.
Any comments, questions, input? If not, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. There's no further input. Oh,
Just a quick clarification. What does industrial allow that commercial wouldn't?
It allows things, so I think I have this in here. There it is. Yeah, if you go to page 5 of the staff report.
If it were an order of zones, it would basically be commercial would be next to industrial, correct?
That's correct.
So
Industrial allows for manufacturing type uses, excavating type uses, processing, those sorts of things that aren't allowed in commercial. Arguably, I mean, professional opinion, industrial is closer to what the airport sort of allows through a lot of their different ancillary uses, not necessarily what's going on in the terminal, but things outside of that, than would be commercial.
So is it fair to say that it was being used in an industrial use to begin with, just with the incorrect zone?
Yes. Well, it was being used industrially when the county had no zone.
Okay.
And so then zoning got put in place on it and then made it a non-conforming use.
I had a motion and a second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item D, public hearing and possible action to amend the zoning map from R2 to Planned Rural Resort District for multiple tracts of land on East Millers Cove Road and the Loop in Walland, and from R1 to Planned Rural Resort District for properties on Old Walland Highway. Anyone here in the audience wish to speak to the item that is before us? If not, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to read all the different parcel numbers, but this is a total of 16 tracts of land. And basically, we incorporate the Three Sisters project, Black River, as well as several other contiguous tracts of land down along the center. Put them in the resort district. If you remember a few months ago, the change was made to the text of that district, which actually allowed it to be in an area other than the rest of it. And so this would meet all of those standards that are outlined in that district under common ownership, more than 20 acres, combined plan development. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? I guess I have a question. Look, I'm looking at the map on the last 2 pages, the colored maps. Since this includes Loop Road, I guess this would be to the west of East Millers Cove. It's the Three Sisters tract itself.
It's Three Sisters proper. It's the conservation land that they have in the neighboring tract. So it's to the north, which is still part of Three Sisters, but not going to be developed. And then it loops down into Lawrence.
Okay.
And I apologize for that, it's such a large area that you can't have both.
Right.
The parcel layer and actually be able to tell
I was trying to kind of locate it from, and there's not a whole lot of roads that are around there other on Old Wallen Highway, so. Any other questions or comments? No, I'm sorry, Bruce, I don't look at my red lights on the screen. I got it.
We spent many months, years ago, on this view of this mountain from the city, whether anybody could build and so on. Is any of this going to have anything to do with that, where they're going to be building cabins that are going to clear cut and you're going to see them from down from like Alcoa Highway, like you're looking into the mountains and so on? Nobody here.
Director, I'll let you.
Nobody here to answer
I'll
that
let you
question.
speak to it.
I'm happy to speak on it. So, all Three Sisters is already approved under a special exception from the BZA. So the master plan for that community was more community, for the whole project is already approved. This is just, honestly, I think this is just cleaning up the zoning map to reflect what they have going on there, and to show sort of that it mirrors what they have on the other side. Right? This in no way impacts development at all. I mean, anything that they were to do on any of these properties would be subject to review and approval of site plans. What this allows them is some flexibility, not so much on Three Sisters, but on some of the other tracts of land that they're going to be, including into this district, particularly down towards Wallen Center. Allow them to do, mixed use and that sort of thing. And I think, it's my understanding anyway, and I don't want to speak for them since they're not here, but it's my understanding anyway that they're going to try to do a little revitalization through there, more redevelopment than greenfield development.
Does that answer your question, Bruce? Any other questions, comments? Clifford, do you have one?
Well, so by rezoning it, they will no longer have to, that property will no longer have to be regulated as far as the mountain development types?
No, that's not the case at all. They are still bound by the master plan that's already approved on Three Sisters. It doesn't go away because it was approved as a special exception, which is tied to the land forever and ever. So really this is changing the zoning under it, but what's there would still have been allowed under this, but it was approved previous to this, if that makes sense.
One more thing, this zone allows for commercial use inside that, correct? Inside that zone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. And as Three Sisters was approved, before this district existed, number one, and certainly before it was allowed on that side. The other way of doing it is as a planned unit development, which allows for mixed uses. And that's how Three Sisters was approved 10 years ago. So mixed use.
Any further questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion to forward on to the County Commission for further public hearing and approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Gets the public hearings out of the way. Do we have any public input on items on the agenda? There being none, site plan for New Life Ministries Christian Center, 5939 Highway 411 South.
Thank you once again, Mr. Chairman. So the subject property here is zoned R1. It is currently developed with the church's sanctuary and classroom facility. This plan would build a multi-purpose facility. The site plan indicates that would be a gymnasium, workout room, additional classroom space, those sorts of things. Staff has reviewed it for compliance with all the applicable zoning regulations. Not going to go into all the details, but it does meet our architecture standards because part of it is visible from the road. Parking, we went through that and made sure that it complied with the standard that we refer to. Landscaping will be included. Lighting will be reviewed prior to the issuance of a building permit with the photometric plan. Environmental health has reviewed it, and they found that there's plenty of room there to accommodate a new septic system and reserve area. That said, staff would recommend approval of this site plan, subject to the issuance of all applicable permits from the county.
Any questions or comments? Do I have a motion? We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. If there's no further comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Hearings, preliminary plats. Doug, you finally get to speak.
Love you. We got advanced Walker Estate, 5 lots, and a common area of US Highway 321. There's 1 lot with road frontage, there's 4 survey common driveway easement. If you look at it, I believe it's on page 4. In the middle, the outstanding items to be complete. I'm just going to read those in the record and talk about them a little bit, and then we can talk about the plat if anybody has any questions. Number 1 is a pre-construction meeting prior to any on-site work. All instructions in this staff analysis, construction of a common driveway, construction of all utilities, drainage improvements, and stabilization of site. And the owner is to supply a copy of the SWIFT permit if applicable. I don't believe it's going to be. Number 2, modification of the entrance location in the right of way to be coordinated by the owner with TDOT and shown on the final plat. Physical improvement to be completed prior to releasing the final plat, and I have discussed that with the surveyor. Bruce is sitting here. And number 3, on-site erosion control measures, including silt fence must be in place prior to any construction of the common driveway. Number 4 is plat copy of the property owners association to staff for review. And I'll just talk about the plat just a little bit. It's kind of unique. This is on 321. It's basically the only tract of land on 321 between Wall and Townsend that is basically a peninsula. It's surrounded by the river on both sides. You drive by it all the time, you just don't see it. And this is a division by the family. State law has changed in recent years. I'm going to say within about 6 years, 7 years, that stuff in the state doesn't allow you to just divide it willy-nilly. It actually has to follow the planning commission regulations like any other subdivision to meet state law now. And that's exactly what they've done. We sat down several times with the family, or talked to the family and sat down with them as many as we could get together. And we've had a few meetings since. And I think, you know, more so than us, I think as long as the family is satisfied with it, they've met all the requirements that we have. And I just want to let you know that. And there is still a process that will go on. They'll have to have a pre-construction meeting. They'll have to put the physical improvements in, meet our minimum standards, and we discussed some of this, and we'll have more meetings, and then they'll have to bring a final plan back to the planning commission.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Commissioner McClellan.
I have to abstain on both of this, but I can answer any questions if there are any.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner McClellan. I guess my primary question, and I think you've addressed it, Doug, they will be working with TDOT and I drive by there every time I come to town. And the driveway's actually in a pretty decent place right now because it's far enough around the curve coming west or going north on 321, and you can see pretty much to the continuation towards Walland.
If you go a little bit further around the curve, you can gain sight.
Okay, good.
And I think you'll have to be able to probably heat up the owners to decide. I know that one of the gentlemen that I spoke to was one actually brought it up and said it was kind of dangerous pulling in. There's been a driveway there long standing. If you look at the driveway entrance that's paved, that's why they want to pave the entrance. There's a huge paved area. And I think that's so you can jump off the road at different places, depending on, who's coming around the curve at some point. Yeah. But I think if they took it over around the curve just a little bit more, they have enough room in the right of way, you basically pass the right of way, turn and then come back out.
Yeah, that was my only concern because of the location of on the curve there, but that is a wide spot, almost like there was a rest area there, but there's not a rest area.
Yeah, I think it's made that wide so you can come off at several different locations.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
I've got one, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Bowers?
You said the preliminary soil map has been being reviewed and it's okay for preliminary approval, but we may have to adjust lot lines, right?
That may be possible. Gary's taken it. We've actually adjusted them once. I know Bruce and Gary worked together
I
already.
didn't know, the setbacks on Little River being a waterway that we drink out of is different than most streams. It's 50 feet instead of 25, the bank and all that. I just wonder if there's adequate room.
Yeah, I think Gary and Bruce have worked that out. There'll be enough room. The lots were actually smaller before you saw them.
Okay, just check it.
Exceeds 50 feet is what he said.
Good deal.
Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve staff recommendations.
We have a Who was the second? Sean? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Wildwood Meadows, final plat. Wildwood Meadows subdivision, lots 1 to 8 off of North Wildwood Road by Lamont and McDaniel Builders. Doug.
Yes, McDaniel Builders. Mr. Steve McDaniel's here. If we have any questions for him, I'm just going to go through the same way I did the last one. I'm going to make some comments. And then we'll look at the plat. And I've actually got to add something. There are 8 lots, 4 county road frontage, and 4 served exclusively off the common driveway easement. That is what I want to talk to you about. But before I go there, I want to read the outstanding items to be completed. It's just to have it in the record. And they are on page 6. Number 1 is a consideration of a variance request with number of lots served exclusively off the easement. And if you grant the variance, we'll talk about it here in a minute. A note will be added to the final plat that lots 1 and 3 have no driveway access off the North Wildwood Road and shall use the shared driveway easement only. Since we're here, I want to stop. I just want to look at both plats side by side. You'll have 2 C1s, one on top of the other. The first one should have lots 1 and 2 that both front on North Wildwood Road. That was how you approved the plat. And the second one shows the configuration just exactly the opposite. During the preliminary plat phase, one of the things that we discovered, myself and the county engineer, we went out there and looked at this, at some length, and we had a slight distance issue up and down North Wildwood. And so with the developer made great gains, got the bank back, and the location of the common driveway meets all our standards. But we still had this lot number 1 that had road frontage on North Wildwood. Now there's an existing drive to the very, I guess it would be eastern corner of the property, bottom of the page. There's a driveway down here that exists. They have to get rid of that. Then we were going to have a driveway restriction on lot 1 that was going to be closest to the common driveway. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, it will work. Well, then we went to the developer, and Steve was sitting here, discussed it with his engineer first. And as far as I understand, Steve doesn't have a problem with it. It actually probably would benefit it, make it look more like a small neighborhood. And we would basically, kill two birds with one stone. We have a safer entrance, one that was actually prepared, according to our engineer, and it would help the health department improve those lots. So let me know what you can think about that. Number two, completion of a final punch list item and final inspection. Final inspection will be on our part. The punch list was completed yesterday, and I supplied that to Steve this morning. The reason there is a punch list, I just want you to know, because we always talk about how much time after the final plat will it take for the developer to finish. None of this is public, so I mean, theoretically, if you wanted to wait forever, none of it is going to be dedicated to the county and just work itself. In this particular case, when they submitted the plat, they submitted it before the first of the month. I guess sometimes when the end of the other part of the last month, it's due on the first of the month. Staff reports on it about 15. And there's a gap between the time I write about it until the time we have this meeting. And in that particular case, I know from the beginning, just from having conversations with, Lane and McDaniel, that they just haven't been able to work on it this little better. And that might happen again after this, because everything I hear on the news is kind of unusual. We're having this kind of weather, still consistent. But the list is relatively short. I've seen it on site. I agree with everything on there. I think Steve would too. I know that Steve will get it done. And if you want to ask about it, you can. Number three, supply a copy of the maintenance agreement for staff to review. And I think we're just putting that in insurance. Number four, signature class including utilities and a $40 per lot planning fee. And as far as I know, both facilities will be shared just like the final plat. So if you have any questions, and if you are in favor of a recommendation to approve it with the variance, I hope you would include that in the motion.
Include what? I'm sorry.
The variance.
Variance.
This is a perfect example of what a variance should be. Based on that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the final plat with the variance.
Subject to outstanding items.
Subject to outstanding items and staff. Thank you.
All right, we have hold just a minute. I have a motion. We have a second. Superintendent.
If I could add a little bit and stay consistent to what we've talked about, we would do going forward if things are done or not done, or a timely manner that it could be done. And I told this body I would always put eyes on it and look at it. Due to scheduling today, I couldn't. So I sent my assistant, who is also our county engineer, and so give me notes, pictures of conditions and situations, and weather has absolutely been terrible. So with that being said, I feel like looking at the pictures, looking at the recommendations of my assistant, knowing the past history of Mr. McDaniel and how they work, and they've always met, typically they exceed our expectations. I would recommend that we do approve it, subject to the list, and then Mr. McDaniel get back with us by Monday, no, I think that's Friday, May the 11th, and we'll come back out and do a re-inspect. Now, the next 2 weeks of weather looks really good, and the way they work, I would suspect it'll be done before the 11th, and so they could, as soon as they feel like they're done, they can call us back. But I think that would be the ample amount of time to help the developer and not penalize them because of Mother Nature. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Superintendent. Did somebody else have a question or comment? I saw a light flash on, but okay. Doug, you had me confused when I looked at the two plats, but I finally figured out what we were doing. So, right. So we'll be looking at just lot 1 on the bottom left-hand corner, and lot 3 at the upper left-hand corner. And I tend to agree with my fellow commissioner. This is what variances are about, because we've actually improved a situation by taking additional entrances off of Wildwood Road. Anybody else have any comments? With that said, all those in favor signify by saying yay.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion with variance is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to mention one more thing. I was speaking so fast I didn't pause. Maybe Brad will let the superintendent speak. I apologize. I do have the one last item, and that is the preliminary final plat at the fiscal year for the asphalt. Has everybody seen it?
That was the plat that was put on your desk.
Again, I apologize for the late hour of getting this. It just came in. And this is right outside of town. I know that Chairman Stuckey is aware of where this is at. The city, if you see where it says Sundown Resort, the city limits is actually just on the other side of Sundown Resort. And this is on the section of, it says Highway 73, that's State Highway 73, which is the same as US 321. This is between Weird Valley Road and the entrance to the park. So I'm sure most of you know where that's at in town, coming outside of town. Hot Lake Hill Road is actually a county road. If you see the property in question, if they want to buy the property, you know, then the health department's already signed the plat. That's actually on there already. What they have here is by cutting the lot in half and making a lot to a standard lot, or minimum lot size is 30,000 square feet, which is like 0.69 acres. So he's right on that. But what it does is lot 1 is 0.9 acres, and our subdivision regulations require roads on major arterials to be 43,000 square feet. That's just a few feet shy of an acre. An acre is actually 43,560 square feet. And by the mere fact that this property touches Highway 73, you see on the plat, it technically has frontage. In reality, it really doesn't have frontage because Hot Lake Hill Road keeps running past it. And there's also a bike trail. And then another 100 feet, and you finally come to State Highway 73. And that's where it basically turns into it. It's actually funneled down to a 2-lane before that. So there's quite a bit of distance. My point being that you most likely physically could not build a driveway on this 73. That wouldn't, it would have to intersect Hot Lake Hill again anyway. The variance would be for minimum lot size on an arterial road. So it would be from 43,000 square feet down to 0.9 acres. I also wanted to mention to the planning commission, because I think this is important, in dedicating the right of way on this particular plat to the county so that they can actually make improvements in the future. The gentleman, he's done it on 2 sides. He's actually dedicated 3/10 of an acre to the county. If he didn't have to dedicate that much land, the county would have had 1 acre. So because it says 1 acre over 43,000 square feet in the book, I thought I needed to bring this planning commission for variance. And I would recommend that you approve the variance.
Any questions or comments?
Motion to approve the variance, Chairman.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Plat is approved with variance. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Long-range planning, anything, Director? Public input on items not on the agenda. There being none, we are adjourned.